The country,
Not hyperbole,
as
it's
his
just a
party
solemn
attempts
moment.
to remain a pro-death party.
Today, the Supreme Court of the United States
We'll see what
expressly
he has to
took
say.
away a constitutional right from the American people
Listen in with me.
that it had already recognized. They didn't limit it, they simply took it away. It's never been done to a right so important to so many Americans, but they did it. It's a sad day for the court and for the country. 50 years ago, Roe v. Wade was decided and has been the law of the land since then. This landmark case protected women's right to choose, her right to make intensely personal decisions with her doctor, free from the interference of politics. It reaffirmed basic principles of equality, that women have the power to control their own destiny.
Right.
And it reinforced a fundamental right of privacy, the right of each of us to choose how to live our lives. Now, with Roe gone, let's be very clear. The health and life of women in this nation are now at risk. As chairman and ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, as vice president and now as president of the United States, I've studied this case carefully. I've overseen more Supreme Court confirmations than anyone today, where this case was always discussed. I believe Roe v. Wade was the correct decision as a matter of constitutional law and application of the fundamental right to privacy and liberty in matters of family and personal autonomy. It was a decision on a complex matter that drew a careful balance between a woman's right to choose earlier in her pregnancy and the state's ability to regulate later in her pregnancy. A decision with broad national consensus that most Americans of faith and backgrounds found acceptable, that have been the law of the land for most of the lifetime of Americans today. And it was a constitutional principle upheld by justices appointed by Democrat and Republican presidents alike. Roe v. Wade was a 7-2 decision written by a justice appointed by a Republican president, Richard Nixon. In the 5 decades that followed Roe v. Wade, justices appointed by Republican presidents from Eisenhower, Nixon, and Reagan, George W. Bush were among the justices who voted to uphold the principles set forth in Roe v. Wade. It was 3 justices named by one president, Donald Trump, who were the core of today's decision to upend the scales of justice and eliminate a fundamental right for women in this country. Make no mistake, this decision is a culmination of a deliberate effort over decades to upset the balance of our law. It's a realization of an extreme ideology and a tragic error by the Supreme Court, in my view. The court has done what it has never done before, expressly take away a constitutional right that is so fundamental to so many Americans that had already been recognized. The court's decision to do so will have real and immediate consequences. State laws banning abortion are automatically taking effect today, jeopardizing the health of millions of women, some without exceptions. So extreme that women could be punished for protecting their health. So extreme that women and girls were forced to bear their rapist's child. For the child, a consequence. It just stuns me. So extreme that doctors will be criminalized for fulfilling their duty to care. Imagine having a young woman have to carry the child of incest as a consequence of incest. No option. Too often the case. The poor women are going to be hit the hardest. It's cruel. In fact, the court laid out state laws criminalizing abortion that go back to the 1800s as rationale. The court literally taking America back 150 years. This is a sad day for the country, in my view. But it doesn't mean the fight's over. Let me be very clear and unambiguous. The only way we can secure a woman's right to choose, the balance that existed, is for Congress to restore the protections of Roe v. Wade as federal law. No executive action from the president can do that. And if Congress, as it appears, lacks the votes to do that now, voters need to make their voices heard. This fall, we must elect more senators and representatives who will codify women's right to choose into federal law once again. Elect more state leaders to protect this right at the local level. We need to restore the protections of Roe as law of the land. We need to elect officials who will do that. This fall, Roe is on the ballot. Personal freedoms are on the ballot. The right to privacy, liberty, equality, they're all on the ballot. Until then, I will do all of my power to protect a woman's right in states where they will face the consequences of today's decision. While the court's decision cast a dark shadow over a large swath of the land, many states in this country still recognize a woman's right to choose. So, if a woman lives in a state that restricts abortion, the Supreme Court's decision does not prevent her from traveling from her home state to the state that allows it. It does not prevent a doctor in that state from treating her. As the Attorney General has made clear, women must remain free to travel safely to another state to seek care they need. My administration will defend that bedrock right. If any state or local official, high or low, tries to interfere with a woman's exercising her basic right to travel, I will do everything in my power to fight that deeply un-American attack. My administration will also protect a woman's access to medications that are approved by the Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, like contraception, which is essential for preventative health care, mifepristone, which the FDA approved 20 years ago to safely end early pregnancies and is commonly used to treat miscarriages. Some states are saying that they'll try to ban or severely restrict access to these medications. But extremist governors and state legislators are looking to block the mail or search a person's medicine cabinet or control a woman's actions by tracking data on her apps she uses are wrong and extreme and out of touch with the majority of Americans. The American Medical Association, the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists wrote to me and Vice President Harris stressing that these laws are not based on evidence and asking us to act to protect access to care. They say by limiting access to these medicines, maternal mortality will climb in America. That's what they say. Today, I'm directing the Department of Health and Human Services
Gynecologist.
to take steps to ensure these critical medications are available to the fullest extent possible. And the politicians cannot interfere in the decisions that should be made between a woman and her doctor. And my administration will remain vigilant as the implications of this decision play out. I've warned about how this decision risks the broader right to privacy for everyone. That's because Roe recognized the fundamental right to privacy that has served as a basis for so many more rights that we've come to take for granted, that are ingrained in the fabric of this country. The right to make the best decisions for your health. The right to use birth control, a married couple in the privacy of their bedroom, for God's sake. The right to marry the person you love. Now, Justice Thomas said as much today. He explicitly called to reconsider the right of marriage equality, the right of couples to make their choices on contraception. This is extreme and dangerous path the court is now taking us on. Let me close with 2 points. First, I call on everyone, no matter how deeply they care about this decision, to keep all protests peaceful Peaceful, peaceful, peaceful. No intimidation. Violence is never acceptable. Threats and intimidation are not speech. We must stand against violence in any form, regardless of your rationale. Second, I know so many of us are frustrated and disillusioned that the court has taken something away that's so fundamental. I know so many women are now going to face incredibly difficult situations. I hear you. I support you. I stand with you. The consequences and the consensus of the American people, core principles of equality, liberty, dignity, and the stability of the rule of law demand that Roe should not have been overturned. With this decision, the conservative majority of the Supreme Court shows how extreme it is, how far removed they are from the majority of this country. They've made the United States an outlier among developed nations in the world. But this decision must not be the final word. My administration will use all of its appropriate lawful powers, but Congress must act. And with your vote, you can act. You can have the final word. This is not over. Thank you very much. More to say this in weeks to come. Thank you.
Mr. President, do you still have confidence? Do you still have confidence?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Joe Biden, a man who voted to let states overturn Roe v. Wade back in the day. This from the New York Times. Senator Joe Biden in 1981 changed his vote and said that abortion should be a states' rights issue. It's getting fresh scrutiny when he voted to let the states decide on the abortion issue. This is what Joe Biden did. We'll put back on our screen our little live feed here. Thank you, Studio Sam. Thank you, Studio Sam. We have been doing it live here, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Biden, who says he's a Catholic, he's a fake Catholic, he should be excommunicated from the church. Joe Biden should not be allowed communion. Joe Biden should be met at the door of the church with holy water. He should have it sprayed on his skin and it would melt him, and then it would because Joe Biden isn't an actual Catholic, much like Nancy Pelosi. They fake their faith. They fake being members of the church for votes. They're just using the church, just like the Pharisees would, or the Sadducees, these evil politicians back in the day who used the church to clothe themselves in robes of power. That's all Joe Biden does. He doesn't actually believe any of this stuff. He's not an actual Catholic. Joe Biden hates the church. Joe Biden hates the Pope. Joe Biden hates the church's ruling and is openly advocating for abortion permanently and on demand, demanding Congress codify abortion into right. He called abortion a constitutional right. It is not. That was struck down today. Clearly, it is no longer a constitutional right. It never was, right? If it was a constitutional right, it couldn't be struck down. You can't strike the Second Amendment down. You can't strike down free speech because those are constitutional rights, because they're actually in the Constitution. But Joe Biden is sitting there saying, we need to have permanent abortion forever. Joe Biden crying his salty, bitter, angry old man tears while brushing dandruff all over the podium and wobbling away. Did he seem confused to you? He called it gynecologist or something. He didn't even know the right terminology. He couldn't read the teleprompter. He seemed very slow today. He seemed very, we'll see if Joe Biden escapes to the beach for the weekend. I think he will. He'll go back to the beach to get, another chance at riding his bicycle and falling over. Maybe he'll fall over on a pro-life demonstration this time. Maybe that's how Biden will seek his revenge. He has nothing to do. They can't actually vote on abortion in Congress. They would lose. What are they going to vote for? They're going to win that one. You're not going to win that. You're going to have Democrats voting for that. They don't have the support on their side, because the reality is that unless you're a single college-educated white woman living alone in a studio apartment, working an hourly job with cats as your only children and with a microwave dinner for one every night, you don't actually like abortion in this country. The statistics are in. Abortion is collapsing in this nation. There were fewer abortions this year than in the year that abortion was made legal. Did you know that? Not since 1973 has there been so few abortions, because the culture is turning on abortion, because the culture is saying no. Joe Biden is saying yes, even though his faith and his church compel him to say no. So the teaching of the Catholic Church is very, very similar. And I'm not a Catholic. The teaching of the Catholic Church, however, is very clear. All abortion is wrong. All abortion is evil, and all abortion shouldn't be allowed. The Catholic Church is 100% pro-life from the moment of conception. So Joe Biden doesn't have any wiggle room here. It's not like he's part of some type of, Episcopalian denomination, Presbyterian denomination that has, some lesbian priestess who's like sitting there saying that, abortion is a sacrament or whatever. No. Joe Biden's a part of like the Roman Catholic Church. And so he's openly defying his own church and his own vote, because in 1981, I'm looking at the New York Times right now, in 1981, Joe Biden voted to let abortion be kicked back to the states. Of course, if you've been living under a rock, you will note that this morning in a 5-4 decision, the Supreme Court did strike down Roe v. Wade. It is no longer the law of the land. Instantly, the states of Texas and Missouri, my team can tell me if I need more updates here, but instantly the states of Texas and Missouri outlawed abortion like that. Accordingly, there will be more states doing so. Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Idaho, Utah are all there striking down Roe v. Wade. Abortion is now illegal. These 13 states have banned abortion completely within 30 days. Some of them have sunset clauses there in the chat. So what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next, ladies and gentlemen? It is going to be a wild time. We have some footage here from the Supreme Court. You can see there a lot of people angry, a lot of people chanting. The atmosphere this morning was joyous. There were people looking to the sky, praying, crying. They were cheering, they were dancing, they were singing, and they were ready to celebrate life. There was even a toast. There's a dude with a champagne bottle. We were proud of him. And so Joe Biden then has to go on and defy his church, defy his faith. Joe Biden should be excommunicated from the Catholic Church. He should be denied communion. He should not be allowed to enter a church. He should have a cross placed upon him and holy water sprayed in his face every time he tries to enter a Catholic church. That should, burn his skin, and he should have to run away. The other person who is burning hot right now is AOC. Sam, we have a clip here in our chat of AOC yelling. Can we pop over there and show that? Should be first clip. There she is. AOC. Here we go.
Into the streets! 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 Into the streets!
This footage courtesy of our friend Drew Hernandez, who has a show with Turning Point USA called Frontlines. Wow. AOC calling for an insurrection. As far as we can tell, she's saying you got to take to the streets. AOC saying that we can't use these moments. Sam, let's go back to that chat. There's another clip of guards being walked into the Supreme Court. This is what the Supreme Court looks like right now, just in case you're wondering. Look at this. This is a Supreme Court. These are those guys are stacked, dude, ready to go, walking into the Supreme Court, and you have the riot police being rolled out right now. So, riot police rolling through. Looks like the left is going to be on the march. The left has already firebombed 16 churches. They've attacked 16 different pregnancy centers. They have committed attempted assassination of a Supreme Court justice, and the left has obviously planned to do a night of rage tonight. So if you are a member of a church, I think that you should go to your church and you should stand out front. You should make sure that nobody burns your church down. You should make sure that nobody hurts you or the people inside of your church. Let us use this as an opportunity to say a big, hearty, ha 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 ha. To the left, we will drink your tears. We drink your tears. It is okay to celebrate. It's okay to win one, guys. It's okay to be on the right side of history. Now is the time that we take our country back. Now is the time that we rejoice. We will be rejoicing soon with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene will be joining us live later this afternoon for a live interview, and it will be spectacular. She has been one of the congresswomen who has been at the forefront of this issue, and it will be joyous. We look forward to celebrating with you and Marjorie Taylor Greene soon. Join us all day today. Please follow this space, baby. Follow this space because we are going to have a very, very fun time today. We're going to be live with a number of special guests. That was Joe Biden giving his little pathetic speech. Again, he didn't really say anything. He said that Congress should codify Roe. That ain't going to happen. Let me tell you what. And if there's any motivation for you to vote in the 2022 elections, let this be your motivation. There is absolutely and totally and wholly a populist resurgence in this country. We are a moral nation. These lunatic freaks who are death cult members, they don't get to say what we can do, and they don't get to run this place. We run this place. You lunatic freaks, you can go somewhere else. Please, we encourage you, travel to Cuba, have a great time. We run this place. We run America. We are moral people. We care about life, we care about liberty, and we care about protecting life. Protecting life, whether it is with a concealed carry, which we saw that decision yesterday, or protecting life as it is the unborn, as it is pertains to the unborn. So we say to the left and to the death cult of the left, a big hearty ha-ha, cry more lib. You think we're done? We're just starting, ladies and gentlemen. We're just starting. Here we go. We're so excited. Benny Live. Celebrate life today. God bless you all. My name is Benny. We'll be back soon with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Join us soon. We'll get you a time for that in just a moment. Marjorie Taylor Greene up next for our next live. My name is Benny Johnson. This has been The Benny Show. Right to Life special.